Welcome guys, and today we're gonna talk about newbie builds for open world that will cost less than 30k. So lately people were asking me in what build they should go in open world to farm these new fat roaming mobs, and I thought the best way how to do it is to record such video, so I hope you will enjoy it. Before we will start, I need to point one thing. Probably lots of sets that I will show you in this video later in late game will be totally useless, and when you will know a bit more about Albion, how does this game work, etc., you need to change your builds, so take it into account. But these builds will be super useful for new players. If they don't want to think what kind of items will fit the best, this video is for you guys. We will talk about all weapon lines, and I'll choose one weapon that is the most efficient and super cheap in terms of fame farm. So the first weapon is swords. In my opinion, one of the best and one of the cheapest option is dual swords. Yep, I know, when you was asking me on stream or in comment section below, I was answering that you probably need to choose between carving and dual swords, and probably you need to choose carving sword. But there is one problem. It is a price. It is super pricey for a new player. That's why, while it is your first day of your gameplay in Albion, choose dual swords. Later you will change your weapon anyway and the whole build. So don't bother about it, just take dual swords among all swords. Reason number one, again, it is cheap. Second, it got pretty nice AoE damage, clear speed, and high attack speed, which us allow to use these mercenary jackets, so we would be able to heal up during the whole duration of this buff. There is also an option to use assassin jackets or even any rope. You can use it, it is up to you guys, it will be efficient too. But it is just an example of how you can equip your first build. And by the way, about consumables. All you see in this build, I mean a riding horse, bag, poison potion and catfish, yeah? It is standard items for all setups, literally for all setups. So later we will not talk about these consumables anymore, always use these items, and that's all. You don't even need any cape, and in some cases you don't even need a bag actually, so take it into account. So let's continue. In most of the builds you will see two similar items that I'm using. It is Cooler Cowl as a helmet and assassin shoes with refreshment sprint ability. Why these two items in most of the builds? First, Schooler Cowl give you pretty high amount of resistance, but the main reason is it is your main source of energy, basically your mana. And these boots, assassin shoes, will reduce your cooldowns drastically and will help you to clear mob camps much faster. As you can see in this example, there is no problem to clear all mobs from tier 5 to tier even 8, even if you will have no specs, guys. So you can use this build, and it costs less than 30k. All builds in this video will cost less than 30k, so choose whatever you like. One tiny and very important tip: always try to farm these spots near your horse or any mount that you will use. Try to farm near your mount, so in case of danger you will be able to mount up. Also, if you will find a super fat mob and you see that you got not enough of damage and you need to wait for your cooldowns for a long time, just use your mount up and ride around the boss or mobs that you want to kill. Wait for your cooldowns, then dismount and use your spells again. Thanks to this trick, you will be always be able to farm all kind of mobs and bosses in this game. So keep this in mind. And the second weapon line is Axes, probably one of the most efficient weapon lines in the game. Especially this one-handed battle axe, with mercenary jackets, Cooler Cowl and assassin shoes. It will be useful not only on early stage, but also in mid and in late game. And all of this thanks to this E ability and your Q stacks. You can combine your Q spell, use it all around the mobs, and then heal up to the full health with one E spell. It is very, very strong, and you can clear all packs, all mobs from tier 5 to tier 8 with no problem. And the next weapon line is Maces. Probably one of the most efficient and the cheapest one is regular one-handed mace. Yeah, soon it will be nerfed a bit, damage from your E spell and a bit damage from your Q spell, but anyway, clear speed is still nice. Use these items like in this example and you will be fine. As a real example of my experience on this mace, not a long time ago I released a new video, some sort of zero to hero, when I was playing on a fresh character and was trying to understand what kind of fame will I earn from scratches if I'll farm only in BlackZone. And I was using this one-handed mace, and results were actually fine. I was able to kill all kind of mobs, all kind of bosses with no problems. So this weapon is definitely viable. And again, this build also costs less than 30k. Hammers. And with this weapon line we got some problems. In theory, you can of course clear all mobs and most of the bosses, but the problem is that it got pretty low clear speed. But if you want to play on this weapon line, yeah, you need to choose these Forge Hammers. It is the only viable option with Hunter Jackets instead of Mercenary or Assassin. Why Hunter? Because your E-spell got insane synergy with the Hunter Jacket buff. That's why we need to take in this scenario Hunter Jackets. As you can see, it can clear mobs with pretty okay speed, so it is the only viable option, guys. The only viable option. And if you will PvE, take this AoE ability on W. It will help you to clear mobs faster. Now we'll talk about new weapon line. It is WarGloves. Actually, guys, they are super weird weapon. Of course, it is a new weapon that was added not long time ago to in Albion, and they are unbalanced. Unbalanced not in a good way, in a super bad way. They are pretty weak, especially in mid game and in late game. But you can pretty easy farm regular roaming mobs from tier 5 to tier 8 with this setup. You will have no problems. In my example, I took Cleric Robe and Scholar Cowl. So why Cleric Robe? First of all, your main source of damage is your spells. By the way, it is Brawler Gloves. They are super cheap. Why Cleric Robe? Because your main source of damage, as I said before, is spells, and you need to maximize it as much as possible. And the Cleric Robe is the best way how you can do it. Also, spells on these gloves are pretty mana energy heavy. That's why you need this Scholar Cowl too. It is perfect build for PvEing. And here are some examples of how it can clear mobs. Pretty impressive. I like it. So if you want to use gloves, use this build and you will have no problems at all. And again, 30k. Only 30k, guys. And now crossbows. As you can see, in my example, I am using light crossbow. Yes, there is also an option to use bolt casters, but price of the bolt casters are pretty high, as, again, for a new player. That's why we will take light crossbow. We will be less efficient on mob versus bosses, but versus mobs we will clear them even faster. So use this Cleric Robe, Scholar Cowl, Assassin Shoes, and you're ready to go. The most important thing that you need to level up as soon as possible is this passive that will reduce cooldown of your Q ability. And yeah, only AoE Q spell on farm, only this. And you will have no problems. Use this build. And next is bows. Well, again, on farm, nothing changed. Regular bow is still one of the best ways how you can clear mobs, especially bosses. The only thing that you need to know, instead of Scholar Cowl, we are taking Mage Cowl, or you know, any helmet that you like. It doesn't matter because we will have no problems with mana, only thanks to this passive that will regen our mana with each hit. Again, Mercenary Jacket got good synergy. Yeah, in latest patch it was changed a bit and now you cannot heal up with dot damage spells, but for bow it is even better because we already got super high attack speed. Just press your W, E and spacebar, auto attack mobs, and everything will die. Also, one important thing, that your self buffs will remain active on your character even if you will mount up. So you can abuse it super hard. You can activate E plus W, mount up, kill one mob, mount up again, dismount on the next spot, and your buffs will still remain on your character and you will keep dealing insane amount of damage. As a Q spell, I actually took this AoE Q spell to clear all weak mobs much faster. Use it. It is super cheap and efficient. About spears, probably if we compare all builds in this video, this will be in top 3 with a battle axe. Regular spear is very unique weapon and will be super useful on all stages of the game. So as you can see, we got AoE Q spell, which was allowed to gather mobs together and hit everyone. Also we can kite mobs, and this Forest of Spears got insane synergy with your Mercenary Jacket. If you will activate Mercenary Jacket when you got low amount of health and press W, you will heal up to maximum health immediately. So this spell is perfect for PvEing. Also your E spell is perfect for clearing and for mobility. So in my opinion, it is one of the best builds for open world. No jokes, super cheap, super efficient. So take a look on this build, guys. Really take a look. As an offhand, we'll use Torch because we need to increase our auto attack damage output, because with this Q ability we not only deal AoE damage to our enemies, but also we gain a damage buff, which will increase our auto attack damage. And this synergy in this build is just ideal, I would say. So let's move further. Next is Nature Staffs. To be honest, comparing to Holy Staff, we will talk about Holy Staffs later, Nature Staffs at least can deal some sort of damage. I took the regular one-handed Nature Staff because it got AoE damage with the E-spell, and also it heals you back. So use Clever Rope, use Scholar Cowl for mana, or Mage Cowl, you can change it to Mage Cowl, and Assassin Shoes to reduce your cooldowns. Why especially this Clever Rope is very useful on Nature Staff? Because if you will take this W spell, which is Chain Link ability, you can increase your heal and mana output drastically if you will activate your R spell and then W at the same time. Then you will get huge amount of heal and your spell will not be interrupted, which is very important. And since you will use this W, you know, there is actually no sense to use this Scholar Cowl. Yeah, I know in my example I'm using it, but you can actually take Mage Cowl. It would be even much more efficient. Yeah, just take Mage Cowl, not Scholar Cowl like in this example. Take Mage Cowl for poison, for more damage output. Dagger line. Yep, so ideally you need something with mobility, with some sort of AoE damage, but all these weapons cost a lot and clear speed is actually so-so. Maybe later I will create a video for a mid and late game in Albion and what kind of builds you should use in open world. But since it is video more for new players and they need some sort of build that will be able to farm mobs with no problems, I would suggest one-handed dagger, classic one-handed dagger with torch, hunter jacket, Scholar Cowl and leather shoes. Yep. AoE damage is so-so, but it is clearing fat mobs pretty fast. So, as you can see in this example. And by the way, while I was recording this video, I was able to finish 1 PK and get this loot. Was super lucky, it is what it is. So yeah, if daggers, choose one-handed dagger. So, and now Quarterstaffs. Guys, this weapon is actually super slow in PvE. Super slow. As you can see in my example, I'm using regular Quarterstaff. Well, at least it got AoE damage on E-spell, and thanks to this W AoE, we can handle mobs. Yep. it is still possible to farm, and to be honest, it doesn't matter what kind of armor you will use. The only way how you can increase your farm speed, clear speed, is if you will take Stalker Jacket. But if you will take it, it will increase your price of your set, well, I would say drastically for a new player. Again, for a new player. So I would not suggest you to play on this weapon. But if you want to, you can. You will suffer, yes, you will suffer, but you can clear mobs. Again, guys, I want to remind you, these builds that you see in this video are super useful only for players that just logged into Albion, or super poor players who got no money, because these builds cost less than 30k. It is nothing, because you will get your money back when you will farm few spots in open world in BlackZone, even in tier 5 locations. I know you can change your jacket on something else, on much more expensive like Albion or Spectre jacket, and clear mobs faster. Even with Quarterstaffs, clear speed would actually fine. But take into account, this video is for new players who got zero money, who even don't have 500,000 of silver or barely got first million of silver, and who afraid to go in BlackZone. That's why I created this video, so people would not afraid to go in BlackZone and start their journey, because lots of new players afraid to go in full PvP zones, and they are playing in yellow and in blue zones for months. And I think this video will be a cool motivation and some sort of challenge for such players to go in these black zones to overcome their fear and start playing Albion. Yeah. Next cheap build is on fire. Well, fire actually lately becomes super strong. Especially this one, Wildfire. It is one-handed fire staff. If you will equip Tome of Spells for mana regen and for cast speed, if you will equip Cleric Robe, Scholar Cowl and Assassin Shoes, plus minus the same items like in previous examples and previous builds, but with this setup you can literally delete mobs, no jokes. You just need to take this AoE Q spell, this W, and this passive that will deal damage with your auto attacks. You don't even need to cast abilities. No, don't use single Q spell. You don't need this. AoE Q spell is perfect versus mobs in PvE. So if you will use this, your efficiency in PvE will be super crazy, and you will clear mobs pretty fast, like in this example. Next is a Holy. And now we got some problems. Yes, if you want to level up as a Holy healer, when you got zero money, when you cannot afford better items, you can of course equip this set as like in this example with less than 30k. The Scholar Cowl, Scholar Helmets and Assassin Shoes to increase your cast speed and farm with your damage abilities, but clear speed is so bad, guys. It is so horrible. Like in this example, I was farming these mobs, and when gankers were around, and when they saw in what kind of armor I was farming and how I was suffering, they just ignored me. They literally just ignored me. So if you got low amount of silver, guys, and you want to farm in BlackZone, I would not recommend you this Holy Staff. No, it is definitely not your choice. Don't even try. It will be a pain. Don't. Next is Arcane. The same as with Holy, but there is a tiny difference. As you can see, to be efficient on Arcane Staff, you need this ability, Magic Shock. Without Magic Shock, it will be a pain in PvE. Ideally, you need Magic Shock and this Mimic ability, but these spells will be available only first spell will be available on level 70, yeah, and the next on 85, level 85. So it is definitely not a choice for new players. later, of course, if you will get these specs to level 85, this Arcane staff can farm mobs pretty easy, with no problems. But without these spells, this weapon line is useless in PvE if you are a solo player. It is definitely useless, so just forget about it. Okay, so the next weapon line is Frosts. Yeah, in my example I'm using regular Frost Staff with Schooler Rope and Schooler Cowl. Why Schooler Rope? Because this Frost Staff got insane Q AoE Q ability, but there is one downside. Cast time is horrible, so we need to buff it as we can. That's why we are using this Schooler Rope to increase our cast time. As you can see, when this buff is active, we deal insane amount of damage. On top of that, if we gather these roaming mobs together, we can clear them pretty fast too, thanks to these W and E AoE abilities. So it is still viable and it is still possible to farm these tiny spots. I would not say pretty easy, but it is playable. It is definitely playable, and you can roam in open world, in BlackZone with this cheap setup. It also costs 30k, a bit less than 30k. And the last one is Quarterstaffs. This weapon line actually got lots of options, lots of weapons that are super cheap and efficient, but you got only two options as a new player. This is one-handed Quarterstaff regular and great Quarterstaff, like in my example. One-handed Quarterstaff is actually nice versus bosses, versus such fat mobs, and great Quarterstaff is nice when you are trying to clear regular mobs, trying to gather them around and burst them with AoE damage, like in this example. Clear speed is actually nice, and by the way, yeah, I'm using Cleric Rope to increase my damage output and make sure that no one will interrupt my E-spell while I'm casting it. So, and yeah, AoE Q spell, definitely AoE Q spell, and again, less than 30k. If you are looking for a good build, efficient build that will cost not 30k but $500,000 of silver or even more for open world, for PvP/PvE, there will be a video for you guys. There will be, I'll make it as soon as possible. But this video was created only for new players who just started their journey, or for players who are afraid to go in this BlackZone. I hope this video was useful, and don't forget to press like button and sub to this channel. Bye bye guys.